What's going on, guys? Nelside Gaming here once again with another deck tech, and today we're looking at Wilhelt the Rotcleaver. It's a zombie tribal combo deck. It started out as a precon, then it was slightly upgraded, then it was super tuned and optimized, would win at about turn 5, then that got boring, so I made it back into a tribal deck, and then that, was fun, but I decided to make a Varina zombie tribal, so this went back to being a combo deck with some flavor, which made it go from a turn 5 winner to a turn 7, turn 8 winner with no interaction. So, yeah, it's a semi-competitive deck. It's got a lot of the staples, really nice land base or mana base. And, yeah, let's get right into it. So, Wilhelt the Rotcleaver is a 3/3 zombie warrior legendary creature for 2 blue black. He has whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed, which means it can't block. And when it attacks, you sacrifice it at the end of combat. And the second ability there says at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie if you do draw a card. So he is a combo piece himself. With some cards we'll be seeing here coming up. And he gives you an extra draw at the end of your turn. So, we're digging through our deck, we're sacrificing zombies, we're making zombies with Decayed. It's on theme. Anyways, moving on to the zombies, we have Shambling Gas. It's a 1/1 zombie for a black that when he dies, you can choose one, either Brave the Stench or Search the Body. We're going to go with Search the Body to make some treasures to speed up our game plan. And sacrificing him to Wilhelt will make us draw a card. So, very nice to have in the deck. Carrion Feeder is a 1/1 zombie for a black. That's a free sacrifice outlet. We don't really care too much about the fact that he can't block, because we only want him to be able to kill a bunch of stuff on our side of the board and get some value. Now, he is a combo piece. Let's see. Let's say we have Gravecrawler out and zombies cost 0. Or let's say we have any zombie and we can cast zombies from the graveyard and we somehow have infinite mana. That's also great because we can just sack all those zombies, and if we have a payout, then we can drain our opponents. There's a bunch of stuff that we can do. I might miss a couple combos or a couple things in the deck, but yeah, sometimes the deck itself surprises me. Crypt Breaker is another 1/1 for a black. He is a zombie that has pay a colorless and a black and tap it. You can discard a card and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token into the battlefield, which is cool, but we're here for the second ability. Tap 3 untap zombies you control, you draw a card and lose a life. So good thing is those zombies do not need haste because this ability will cost them to tap. So we don't have to wait for that round, which is awesome. And if we make a ton of zombies, as long as we have the life to afford it, we can just keep drawing into our combo pieces and tutors. Festering Mummy is just another fodder piece. He's a 1/1 zombie, and when he dies, put a -1/-1 counter target creature. So he's just there to get killed. Draw us a card with Wilhelt. Foulmire Knight, same thing, but Death Touch. Gravecrawler. This is the MVP of the deck. So most combos surround around this card, just revolve around this card. It's a 2/1 zombie for a black, and it can't block. Once again, we do not care about that, but you may cast him from the graveyard as long as you control a zombie, which is great because we will be controlling zombies. And she in this case, is a combo piece with a ton of cards. As we get to them, we will see. Keep in mind, though, Gravecrawler can get cast from the graveyard. So keep your mind open to the possibilities. Relentless Dead is a 2-drop that I used mostly to retrieve from the graveyard with his second ability, or just for fodder as long as I have the mana, return him to my hand. So he is a 2/2 for 2 black that has, when he dies, you can pay a black and return it to your hand, or when he dies, you may pay X, where X is a zombie creature card's converted mana cost from your graveyard, and then just bring it back to the battlefield. So we're going to be getting our combo pieces back if they're killed. We're going to be getting stuff that we ourselves tutored and put in the graveyard in the first place. All right, so we have Apprentice Necromancer. It's a 1/1 zombie wizard for 1 and a black. It doesn't say zombie on this card, but the errata says he is a zombie. He has tap a black and tap it, sacrifice it, and return target creature card from your graveyard to play. That creature gains haste, and at the end of turn, you sacrifice it. Now, we don't really care about keeping that card on the battlefield for too long. If we're bringing it back, we're either going to win on the spot or we're going to trigger an ETB that we need, and then we don't need that creature anymore. So that is pretty cool. Headless Rider is a 3/1 zombie for 2 and a black that says whenever Headless Rider or another non-token zombie you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So this is pretty much a combo piece that can be achieved with a lot of things in this deck. But if my commander just so happens to not be out, this is a great substitute because the zombies that I kill, as long as it's Gravecrawler or a creature card, it will continue to make the 2/2 black zombie tokens. And if my commander happens to be on the battlefield, even better, because you can sack the 2/2 zombie tokens and make them into, and then just create 2/2 zombie tokens with Decayed with my commander. Plague Belcher is a payout for those combos. He is a 5/4 zombie for 2 and a black that has Menace. And when he enters the battlefield, you put 2 counters on either him or any other creature you control, which, I mean, it's good if you want to kill something, or if it doesn't really matter. But we're here for whenever another zombie you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So infinite death triggers, and you drain your opponents, and they die. Lich Lord of Unks is another combo piece, payout. It is a 2/2 1 blue black zombie wizard that has an ability that's pretty cool. I mean, he can make you a 1/1 blue black zombie wizard for a blue black and tap it. Or for a blue black, target player loses X life and puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the number of zombies you control. If you make infinite zombie tokens, you can sacrifice them to get infinite mana. Then you can put all that mana, or most of it, make sure you leave some zombies alive so that that X can have some value in there, and then you can just drain your opponents and win from there. Next one is Diagraph Captain. Once again, death triggers. He's a 2/2 zombie soldier for 1 blue black that has death touch. He is a lord with a +1/+1 anthem to other zombies. And whenever another zombie you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life. So yeah, once again, you can drain your opponents. Vindictive Lich is another combo piece. He's a 4/1 zombie wizard for 3 and a black. You can choose 1 or more modes when he dies. So if you can cast zombie creatures from your graveyard and you have infinite mana, you can loop this guy and win with the 3rd mode. So board wipe with the first one, or just, make them discard their hands, whatever it may be. And if you don't happen to get him into a combo, doing him a couple of times always helps. So it's good to have him on the deck, in the deck. Here we have Violent Tumor, a 2/2 zombie warlock for 2 black. He's got death touch, and when he enters the battlefield, you search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, and shuffle. So he's a tutor, which is great in this deck. Plus, he's on a body. He's a two black, but we can either make him free, or I believe that there's a way in this deck to make him cost less. But I think I recently cut that card out, so who cares? It's 4 mana. Grey Merchant of Asphodel is a 2/4 zombie for 3 black. Now, this card is also a combo piece, but even if he wasn't, he's an excellent win con. When he enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equals to life lost this way. Now, if you have infinite mana, or if you're zombie, so if you have infinite mana and you have Relentless Dead, you can just keep and a Sacrifice Outlet. You can keep sacrificing Relentless Dead. So sacrifice him first. He's in the graveyard. Sacrifice Relentless Dead with that infinite mana. Pay the X cost on Relentless Dead. Bring him back. Repeat the process you just kill your opponents on the spot. The other combo is just if you can play zombies from the graveyard and you have infinite mana, or if there's no cost to zombies, once again, you can drain your opponents infinitely. So DC Undead Vizier, or Vizier, not sure how you pronounce that, but he is a 4/6 zombie Naga for 3 black. He's got Death Touch, and he's got Exploit. Now, Exploit says when this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature, which means you can sacrifice himself, put him back in the graveyard, and try to get him back to re-trigger his second ability, which is a trigger ability that says when he exploits a creature, you may search your library for a card, put it in your hand, and shuffle your library. So this is a repeatable tutor from the graveyard in this deck. We're going to go get a combo pieces. We're going to get our protection pieces. We're going to get whatever we might need. Here we have for Phyrexian Altar. It is probably the most important card in the deck, second to Gravecrawler. Once this dies, we're pretty much just searching for other win cons, which there are some in the deck. But we need to protect this with our lives, because once this is out, we will become the target for sure. Now, once this is out, there are 2 ways in this deck to get it back. They used to be 3. I took one out. Just every spot in this deck counts, I believe. So the only way to get this back is with a card that I will mention pretty soon, and there is another land that allows me to get this back on top of my library. Now, this is a 3-cost artifact that says sacrifice a creature at 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So by sacrificing Gravecrawler, you will get that black mana floating, and you can recast them as long as you have another zombie, repeating the process and getting infinite death triggers and infinite ETB triggers. With a payoff, you win the game. And even if you don't have that available, having a bunch of tokens around to sacrifice for mana will set you up and will speed up the process for you to cast your spells. Ashnod's Altar is the same thing. Now, instead of giving you 1 mana of any color, it'll give you 2 colorless mana, which in this deck doesn't really go infinite, because I don't have anything to filter that colorless mana into black mana. So, yeah, I mean, it's still a great piece to have. That 2 colorless does speed up the game as well. Altar of Dementia is a way to win as well. It is a free sacrifice outlet artifact for 2, and you can sacrifice a creature, and target player puts a number of cards equal to that creature's power from the top of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So infinite zombies means infinite mill, so you pretty much win on the spot. Havengul Lich is a 4/4 zombie wizard for 3 blue/black. He has an ability that says pay 1. You may cast target creature card in a graveyard this turn. When you cast that card this turn, Havengul Lich gains all activated abilities of that card until end of turn. So we're going to be getting our combo pieces out for just 1 mana more. Also, getting that CDC back to just re-trigger his exploit. And as long as you have the mana to do so, you can continue to cast CDC, continue to exploit them, and get all the cards that you need from your deck to your hand. He is a 5-cost card, but in this deck, it doesn't matter too much. Here we have a piece that is not a zombie. However, he does support zombies very, very good. It's a 5/5 god for 3 blue/black. His name is the Scarab God. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. So that ability is pretty cool. If you have a bunch of zombie tokens, you can pretty much stack your deck in the order that you need and drain your opponent. So infinite zombies, once your upkeep comes around, you win. Now, 2 blue/black, and you can also create copies of creatures in your graveyard. So once again, CDC, combo pieces, whatever you may need, you pay 2 blue/black, and you're getting those things back. Technically, you're exiling them from the graveyard, which is a bad thing, but you're definitely, you can copy them at least once. Rothulk, he is a 5/5 zombie for 5 black/black. He is a zombie I never cast. I almost always just chuck him in the graveyard somehow by either discarding or tutoring. And depending, so I'm just going to read the card. It says, when Rothulk enters the battlefield, return up to X target zombie cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of opponents you have. So the more opponents you have, the better this card is. You can bring back 1, 2, or 3 zombies. So try to get your combo zombies in the graveyard early before you can get Rothulk out. And there's ways to do that in this deck with some cards here. So Reanimate, probably the best reanimation spell, graveyard retrieval spell in the game. It is a sorcery speed. It is a sorcery for a black that says put target creature card from the graveyard into play under your control. Lose life equal to that creature's total casting cost. So for 1 black mana, you can get anything back from the graveyard. And it says any graveyard. Dance of the Dead is an enchantment that does the same with a slight downside. It costs 1 and a black, and you can return a creature from the graveyard, put it directly into play with a +1/+1 counter on it. However, it does not untap during your upkeep. You have to pay 1 and a black to untap it. If this is removed, that creature is also removed. We do not care about untapping or tapping it because this is not a combat-based deck. We want the ETBs and we want the activated abilities that require them not to tap. So we're bringing back our combo pieces and our CDC. Animate Dead is the same thing, but it costs 1 and a black, And the downside to this one is -1, -0, which isn't a big deal to us at all. Probably the second best at reanimation spell in the game. Exhume, this card is being changed out for Persist. At the time this was included, I did not know Persist even existed. So this is a 1 and a black. Each player puts a creature card from his or her graveyard onto the battlefield. I do not want them to get their creatures into the battlefield just yet. With Persist, they don't have to. So this is getting changed out. However, it is still a good choice because, you know, they get to choose whatever they want. But if they don't have anything, or if they have nothing that could stop you, anything that could shut down your graveyard, they can bring back. But if they don't have that, then you're golden. Necromancy, probably my favorite, and not the best, but my favorite, just flavor-wise and art-wise. It is a 2 black enchantment that does the same thing as Dance of the Dead and Animate Dead with no downside. So pretty much just comes in, and if this is destroyed, the creature is destroyed. Yagmov's Will is one of the only ways to get my Phyrexian Altar from the graveyard. This is not a combo piece, but it is a way to get all your combo pieces back. It is a 2 and a black sorcery. For until end of turn, you may play cards in your graveyard as though they were in your hand. Cards put into your graveyard this turn are removed from the game instead. So you do not want to be discarding. You do not want your stuff killed during this turn. So be careful how you use this card. But it is a way to get our stuff back very, very efficiently. Zombie Apocalypse is a sorcery for 3 black, black, black that returns all zombie creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and destroy all humans. This is what I meant by adding flavor and sacrificing a little bit of efficiency, because this is not a tribal deck, so bringing them all back doesn't really do much for us, and especially for 6 mana. But it is so nice looking, and it will help you at times. If you're late game, somebody has been stopping you, you can play this card and get all your pieces back. Same with Patriarch's Bidding, but you are also bringing their stuff back, which in many, many cases will not matter. This is a 3 black, black. For each player chooses a creature type, each player returns all creature cards of the type chosen this way from the graveyard to the battlefield. Living Death is a pseudo board wipe that allows you to do the same. The way I usually use it is I sacrifice all my stuff, get as much value as I can. Once they're in the graveyard, I will activate this, board wipe my enemies, my opponents. Wow, I'm getting dark there. My opponents' fields, and they can bring back their stuff, but it doesn't matter because our stuff is going to win us on the spot. Imperial Seal, I love this card. I just pulled this card. Funny story about this card. I bought it, right? And the following day, I bought a collector booster box of Double Masters 2022, and I pulled this in my very last pack, my very last card, and I immediately canceled my order. I was specifically looking for the borderless foil, and I got exactly what I wanted. So I returned the other card, and I kept mine, and probably the only good pull I've ever got. I don't usually open sealed products, but you know, this was that rare case. Now, this is a sorcery for a black that lets you search your library for a card and then shuffle and put that card on top, and you lose 2 life. It is a vampiric tutor at sorcery speed, so not as good, but still great to have another tutor. Here is vampiric tutor, the same card at instant speed. Great tutor. Entomb is a tutor that will allow us to search our libraries for a card and put that card into your graveyard and shuffle your library just for a black. So any combo pieces we might need, as long as we have recursion, which we will most of the time, you can just put it in the graveyard. I try to put Gravecrawler in the graveyard as soon as I can, so Entomb's the one for that. Mystical Tutor is just a way for us to get protection, that Cyclonic Rift, that those counter spells, and in worst case scenario, we're going to go get ourselves the other tutors. You put it on top, but it doesn't matter. We'll draw into it. You'll see. Anyways, great tutor to have for just a blue mana. Demonic Tutor, best tutor in the format. 1 on a black, just to search a library. Do not reveal it. Put it into your hand and shuffle your library. We will be getting our combo pieces with this as well. Diabolic Tutor is a demonic tutor with a downside. In this deck, however, it is not a downside. We have to, as an additional cost to play this, we have to sacrifice a creature. Who cares? Search your library for a card, put that card in your hand, and shuffle your library. Unmarked Grave. is a sorcery for 1 and a black that lets you search your library for a non-legendary card, put the card into your graveyard, then shuffle, Gravecrawler, whatever you may need, a Rot Hulk, whatever you may need. Just search it up. Buried Alive is a sorcery for 2 black that does the same thing times 3. So go ahead and get your 3 creature cards, put them in there. So combo pieces and Rot Hulk, reanimate Rot Hulk, bring the other 2 pieces back. Love it. Crow Mox, we're getting into the ramp here. Crow Mox is just a way for us to get colored mana early on in the game. So once again, a zero cost artifact that lets you imprint. You may remove a non-artifact non-land card in your hand from the game, and when you tap it, it gives you a mana of that color. Soul Ring, of course, we gotta have it. Staple of the format. Dark Ritual, instant speed, play it, get 3 mana to your mana pool. Calling the Weak, same thing, but you're sacrificing a creature and you're adding 4. Arcane Signet, those 2-drop mana rocks. Yeah, you gotta have them. Talisman of Indulgence, Demir Signet, Felwar Stone. So same thing, 2-drop mana rocks to get your deck moving. We have Swan Song for the first counter spell in this deck. You can it's an instant for a blue counter target enchantment, instant sorcery spell controller puts a 2/2 blue bird creature token flying into battlefield. We don't care about that. We want to stop them in their tracks. An offer you can't refuse. Probably my best or my favorite counter spell in the format right now. Obviously not the best, but my favorite. You can counter target non-creature spells. Controller creates 2 treasure tokens. Now those 2 treasure tokens cannot be used for them to counter this spell, because in order for those players to get that benefit, those 2 treasures, this spell needs to resolve. So it's just great. I don't care about giving them 2 treasures. It'll be too late by the time they get to use them. Mana Drain, one of the best in the format for sure. Just 2 blue, and you get to add an amount of colorless mana equals that spell's converted mana cost during your next main phase. And Fierce Guardianship, other than Force of Will, probably the best counter spell in the format. Not my favorite. It doesn't feel good when I play it. People roll their eyes. It is a free counter spell, the only free counter spell in this deck. As long as you control your commander, that is great. Cyclonic Rift, because why not? You usually overload it for 7 mana, and you just cast it, and everybody else's non-land permanents go back to their hands. Toxic Deluge is a board wipe, very flexible one at that. We don't care about our creatures as much. They can go to the graveyard, who cares? But our opponents might. They have Indestructible, this gets around that. The Meathook Massacre does as well. And on top of it, so it's a legendary and enchantment for X black, and whenever it enters the battlefield, each creature gets -X until end of turn. Whenever an opponent whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Whenever a creature an opponent control dies, you gain 1 life. So it is a combo piece on top of just an aristocrat piece in our deck. Chain of Vapor, we can use this as protection to our Phyrexian Altar or anything that we want to protect. I don't recommend using it as removal. If it is used as removal, though, make sure that they don't go crazy with it, because it is a instant for a blue that returns target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, which is great. And then that permanent's controller may sacrifice a land. If that player does, he or she may copy this spell and may choose a new target for that copy. So as long as you have lands to spare, you can just protect your entire board for 1 blue. But if you give it to somebody else, they can do the same. So even if you're removing. So be very careful with this. It is awesome, though. Pongify is one of the only removal spells, if not the only removal spell we have in this, intentionally. I mean, I don't want to I don't want this deck to just be boring where I just remove everybody's stuff and play by myself. So this is an instant spree spell for a blue. Destroy target creature. It can be regenerated. Controller created 3/3 green ape creature token. Liliana, Untouched by Death. So the reason why this Planeswalker is here is the following. She is a 4/2 black Planeswalker that has +1, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. If at least one of them is a zombie card, each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 1 life. Cool. Not so great. -2, we don't want to mill our Phyrexian Altar. -2, target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of zombies you control. Nice removal at sorcery speed. But most importantly, -3, you may cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn. Combo piece. This is a combo right here. So make sure you use it when you're, you can just drop her and do it, because she's 4 loyalty. Liliana Dreadhorde General. She is a 6 loyalty Planeswalker for 4 black black. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. So start sacking them tokens, baby. Start drawing your cards. +1, create a zombie token. -4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. And -9, each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. We don't really care that too much about that unless we need it. But the first and the static ability and the first loyalty ability, yeah, we definitely want those. Gates of Phyrexia is one of the only artifact removal spells in black. It is an enchantment for a black black, and it allows you to sacrifice one of your creatures during your upkeep to destroy any one artifact. You may not sacrifice a creature that is already on its way to the graveyard. So once per turn, you get to pretty much sack a creature and get something destroyed. Rhystic Study, will you pay the 1? It is an enchantment for 2 and a blue. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. This gets very annoying, but it is very powerful to its controller. You have to just draw a ton of cards. Phyrexian Altar is an enchantment for a colorless and a black black. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose a life. This is very likely going to be replaced by Black Market Connections. I think that is a better card. But this, however, is still a great card. With this and our commander constantly sacrificing at the end step for drawing, this is 3 cards per turn, which will definitely ensure. And if that doesn't ensure us drawing into our pieces, we have Necropotence, an enchantment for black black black. I will not read this, but however, I will tell you that what it does is you can pay life, and at the end of your turn, during the end step, you can draw that amount of cards. But if cards are to be discarded, they're exiled instead. So you can either pay up to hand size to 7 and not have to discard, or if you know you're going to get a combo, if you draw enough into your deck, you can just pay a ton of life, draw your entire deck. If you have infinite mana, I would definitely go for the pay a bunch of life. Try to get that Gray Merchant from your deck, put them down, start looping, just win. Necropotence is probably the best draw spell in the format, or in black. Grave Pact is a way for us to remove our opponent's creatures. An enchantment for a colorless black black black. Whenever any creature you control is put into any graveyard, each other player sacrifices creatures. So we can pretty much board wipe at that point with a bunch of creatures. Necro Duality fits better in a tribal theme. Not as much here, but it's still good, and that's why it is here. It is very flavorful. It is a 3 and a blue enchantment. Whenever a non-token zombie enters the battlefield you control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. You can't go wrong with that. It says enters, not cast, so when you bring them back from your graveyard, you are doubling them. Now, with Sidisi being a legendary creature, I'm not sure if that will work, since you have to sacrifice the copy, and I have to look into the fact, does it sacrifice when it enters, or does it sacrifice before it's cast? Before it enters. I have to find that out. Please comment down below if you know the answer to that. But yeah, a lot of the cards that are not legendary will have a copy, which is awesome. Rooftop Storm is a combo piece. It is an enchantment for 5 and a blue that makes your zombies cost 0 rather than to pay their mana cost. This and a play from the graveyard ability, such as the Planeswalker Liliana's, you can just loop it, which is awesome. Sensei's Divining Top and Bola Citadel. Let's go one at a time. So Sensei's Divining Top is a 1-drop artifact that lets you pay 1 to look at the top 3 cards of your library and then put them back in any order. And then you can tap it to draw a card and put this card on top, which is awesome because it makes this an evasive card. Somebody tries to destroy it, you can just tap it, draw a card, put this on top. Somebody tries to exile it, just get rid of it overall. They can barely touch this. Anyways, it is a semi-combo, and it would be a combo if I had an enchant. It's an artifact that lets your stuff cost 1 generic less, so it would go infinite, but I don't have that in this deck. Bullet Citadel, it's a 3 black 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 legendary artifact that says you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. So if there's something on top of the deck that you do not like, you can just move it around with Sensei's Divining Top for 1 mana. And then, or you can just, actually you wouldn't do that. You would tap it, put this on top, then pay the 1 to cast it from the top, pay the 1 life, then reveal the next card, or not reveal, sorry, look at the next card. If you like it, cast it by paying life. If the next one you don't like, you repeat the process with this. As long as you have life to spare, you're just gonna, it's gonna go crazy. You guys need to see it. Anyways, here's the mana base. I think there's some more stuff, but here's the mana base. We're starting out with an Underground Sea, a Cavern of Souls. This is the other way to get Phyrexian Altar or any of the artifacts from our graveyard. It is a legendary land called Academy Ruins that has tap for a colorless or tap a colorless and a blue, tap it, put target artifact card from your graveyard to the top of your library. Field of the Dead is a great utility land. I don't know if it's great in this deck because by the time we get 7 lands, we probably won, but it is flavorful. Nykthos Shrine to Nyx is awesome, especially with Urborg, which makes all your swamps, all your lands and your opponent's lands into swamps. So you tap 2, tap it, and you get mana equal to your devotion to 1 color, so black in this case. Deserted Temple allows us to untap this and reuse it. Lake of the Dead is great. When it comes in, we have to sacrifice a swamp, which is great because we don't care. We just tap it, float a blacks, play this, sacrifice it, and then we can tap this card for a black or tap it to sacrifice another swamp and get 4 mana. So in a tight bind, we can definitely take advantage of that. Cabal Coffers 2, so you pay 2 and tap it, and it will give you a black for each swamp you control. So it was my mistake. It's not Urborg. It's not Urborg. Urborg goes great with this one, not with not with Nykthos. Yeah, this and Urborg, yeah, sweet. Ancient Tomb, taps for 2 and deals 2 damage to you. Unholy Grotto is just a way to get our zombies from the graveyard to the top of the library. Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, that's the one I'm talking about. Makes each land a swamp in addition to its other types. Phyrexian Tower is a way for us to sacrifice our creatures to get 2 black mana. Volrath Stronghold is another way to get any creature from our graveyard on top of the library. In this case, they're all zombies except for the Scarab God. So if we need to get Scarab God back somehow, this would work. Command Tower, Secluded Courtyard, Drowned Catacomb, Sunken Ruins, Sunken Hollow, Shipwreck Marsh, Underground River, Watery Grave, Polluted Delta, Morphic Pool, an island, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 swamps. Guys, that is my zombie combo deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I did, talking about it. One of my favorite decks. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like this video. Comment down below if you have any suggestions. And until next time, No Side Gaming out.